Started with our committee meeting for April 11th, 2017. In attendance are all board members, Mr. Amodio, Mrs. Amodio, Mr. Patrol, Ms. Maureen Hines, and Christina Chesson. Everyone please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, we've got a number of discussion items. I'm going to go with Maureen's presentation and then the athletic presentation, so you guys don't have to sit through. If you want, you can sit through other things, but if you wouldn't, and you're free to go afterwards. Before Maureen gets started, as you guys are aware, we're sending students not only to college at a pace never seen before in Norwood, not just because of the scholarships that the kids are getting, but because starting in 7th grade all the way through graduation, all the experiences the kids are having, whether it's understanding, changing the conversation to, I don't know if I can go to college, to I don't know if I can afford to go to college, or no one in my family has ever gone to college, to now I can attend college and I can afford to attend college. And everything that Maureen and her team is doing, from helping parents do their taxes, to filling out their FAFSAs, to the college visits, to everything that she presents to us. But as we're getting our kids going to school, one thing that we've had discussions about over the last 8.5 years is so often we see kids go off to school and then 6 months later we see them behind the counter at UDF or at a restaurant and we say, "What are you doing?" "Well, I'm back home." And so ask Maureen, because now we actually are getting better data than we used to on retention. Because in the past, really the only retention data we could get, it would be from the Ohio Board of Regents, I believe, and that was just if you were at a state school. But now, because of our connections with Gear Up and really the power and not only of the data but also the people, we're able to have a little better idea of not only our kids are going, but are they staying and what schools are they staying at. Kind of gives us a little bit of an idea. So turn this over to Maureen. Don't want to steal her thunder, and the floor is yours.
Thank you. I just put together a little packet because it can be overwhelming. I'm going to talk and work and walk all at the same time. We have a data system called College Path. And that path tracks our services. If you guys could share that way, Chris could have one, and then Mitch and I can share. Thank you all. I didn't know. My first committee meeting. Anyway, our data processing system is called College Path. That is what we log in every day. Like today, I saw 4 kids. I have to document that. How many minutes I saw them, where I saw them, how long I saw them, and what service. If I speak to a class. So that keeps our jobs accountable. People check that daily, monthly. We get reports. So that, alongside the clearinghouse data, in which Superintendent Amodio gets and districts get, and we pay for the clearinghouse subscription, keeps us attuned to what's going on. And it keeps us all accountable, and it also allows us to kind of balance out where we need to put our energies and what's happening. And he's exactly right. Now that we came in 2014, so now that we have these years starting to accumulate, that was the whole purpose of the grant, that we see these kids all the way through to graduation. So like when I'm with the 8th graders, I'm like, "I'm senior to you, senior year." I never tell them we're leaving because that would be like, not good. But so they think that I'm going off to college with them. And he's so right though. Doing the work in the middle school that we are with Dave Ramsey, it's very powerful working with those kids, but getting to know them. Because in the Dave Ramsey curriculum is the conversations about college. And the 7th graders got to go to Wright State, so the 8th graders said, "Why are we going anywhere?" I said, "Miss Abel, can I bring him?" She said, "Yes," after testing. So we're going to NKU. But like kids are getting used to it. Permission slips are coming in from everywhere, from middle school parents. My kids go to visit colleges. And then as freshmen, they can go to 2 or 3 visits. So the more the visits, the more visibility, the more dreams come true, the more reality sets in. But like tomorrow at the honors program, today we met with them and we're like, "Okay, here's your money situation, here's your Pell Grant, what are we gonna do if we have extra money?" So we're starting to have these very adult conversations even down through the middle school level. So it is exciting, and you're exactly right. And the parents are calling us and they're asking us, and can my kid do this? And well, I'm not gonna, I'll stick to the program. Okay, so, here Mitch, move me stuff over. So I just wanted to start with, this is our topic about the whole retention efforts tonight. When we look at the class of 2016, Jamie Kemp, to me, has been with them And she started her work with that class last year in the spring all the way through to the summer. This phenomenal that you talk about of the kids still being at McDonald's and stuff is called the summer melt. That's where we lose them. And our energies need to be spent, like this summer, Jamie's energy will be spent on the 96 kids that will be at college signing day to make sure, as we say, their butts are in the seats the first day of school. And we have checks and balances to check that now, to call them to find out why they're not there. And what has stopped us in the first year with the 2014, they were our first year, great class, but we learned a lot. We learned a lot. I'll tell you a simple little thing I learned. So we did all things, we're all excited, go to college signing day. All of a sudden I get this call in July from Taylor from UC Gloucester. She's like, Maureen, all those kids, they haven't signed up for orientation, which means they can't register for class, which means they have no schedule. And I'm like, oh my God, I just assumed their parents and them would go to orientation. I should have assumed, they never went. So there I was in July asking for an extension, picking them all up, dragging the parents over there. And that's on me too, I just missed that piece of the pie. So now you'll see soon our new system to prevent these little falling through the cracks, because as we know, all this from this process is overwhelming for any family. I don't care where you live, who you are, it's a tough process to get your kid to college and keep them there for 4 years and not go into student loan debt. Anyway, so when we talk about the alumni, this is the work summarized right here, and then I'm going to show you all the data of the one-on-one appointments. There's like 62 of them documented from Jamie, meeting with topics such as the FAFSA. A lot of the kids came back to work on their FAFSA. The Gear Up Scholarship, which we'll talk in a minute, almost forces your hand because you have to go online, and that's another tracking system for us because we have to renew their scholarship year after year after year. So if they're not renewing, we know right away. And then we're calling, why didn't you renew your scholarship? Oh, I didn't know I had to. Come on, let's go, blah, blah, blah. Or I've dropped out. You know, if you have it, let's go to plan B. Academic check-ins, registration of classes, financial aid, orientation, transfer. We've had students that come up and say, how do I transfer? What do I do? We help them through that. Setting up their college email accounts. These are all retention efforts. If they don't get on that email with the college, they miss everything. Those colleges are not mailing the letter home to the mom and dad and them. Because we try to get on the accounts to help them, and they won't even give us access. And I get it, but part of me is like, come on, just give me that email. But they have difficulty, bless their hearts, setting up their school email accounts and getting used to checking it daily. Because they'll come in and be like, I haven't heard from so-and-so. I'm like, did you check your college email? So we, in 8th grade now, we're talking about email. We encourage them. We don't want to hear about your Norwood School's email because you can't email into them from there. They need their own personal email. So I can tell you, honestly, we set up probably 10 to 12 emails a week for the underclassmen now, for communications with camps, college visits, all of that. The TRIO office, TRIO's big. TRIO's Gear Up at the college. It is basically a federal grant. Our kids automatically qualify for TRIO because they're Gear Up kids. Certain colleges have TRIO. NKU has one of the best in the state, best in the Midwest. University of Dayton told me, are you kidding? You know what I mean? People don't have to have TRIO. TRIO is set up for first generation, economically disadvantaged students, not necessarily minority and all that. So it definitely fits a lot of our kids' profile. So if we find out there's a TRIO office at any of these colleges, we're kind of going there, we're introducing them, and we're actually registering for that because then they take over for us. So then it helps me when I don't hear from Sally. I call the TRIO person. I'm like, have you heard from Sally? Is she still there? Like Destiny is at NKU. I call the TRIO officer. Yes, and Destiny. I'm kind of worried. She hasn't called me back. Oh, she lost her phone. Don't worry. I'm like, okay. But I would never know that. She doesn't live at home anymore, you know, and she's had a lot of challenges to get to NKU, but the TRIO lady and her are tight, so I'm good. So I sleep at night knowing someone else is taking care of our kids. Bridge camps, which I'll talk to you in a minute. Transportation, that's a big issue for our kids. I had to get a ton of kids their own Metro Pass and pay for it so they could get to UC Blue Ash. But no big deal, the grant pays for that. After they graduate, the alumni still gets all the benefits of money, services, and all of that. But a simple thing like that, you can lose kids. Signify was a text messaging service I paid for because we were told we had to, part of the grant. They text our kids. Brad helped Carlton last year get all the kids' emails, and they text the kids updates, fast as they're due, to every kid in the state of Ohio. And they're trying to experiment to see if the kids are listening and paying attention and following through on it. The jury's out, because when it comes to it, if Jamie or I text a kid, they're listening. This company texting a kid, and the texting was very generic. We were like, you gotta customize it a little bit because these kids are, so I'm not sure if I'm going to continue that. And participation in the student panel every January. So this is our focus areas. So when you come over here to the next page, this is a typical example. When Mr. Modio, beautiful secretary Terry told me, get some data, I said, great. So this is the example of Morgan, Lillian, Andy. Andy comes in every time he's home from Georgetown to check on things because his Gear Up scholarship crossing state lines, and he needed the money. Monica checks on us constantly, and Trayvon. So that's just an example of kids that Jamie saw and had meetings with in 2000, that graduated in 2016. She has seen or talked to, between her and I, Andy 14 times. So that tells us, and I didn't want to give you page after page, but there's 62 examples of this to make sure we're doing our job. Because we're so focused on the moment, which we truly are from 7th grade to 12th right now, but we always have to keep saying, are these kids okay out there? Are they okay out there? So this helps us, and this is part of her job responsibility. And it was good for us to present this because we had to sit down and really look at it. And we called the state, we said, help us give us some good data to show to these guys. And they were like, show me examples of individual kids that Jamie's working with all the time. Like Monica right now with the FAFSA, it's a nightmare with our new president. It is a nightmare. Trying to get her to be able to not be afraid to do her FAFSA and all that because she's a DACA student. No one is going to sit with Monica and talk to her about that except Jamie. Jamie Kemp, our Gear Up advisor who's in charge of the seniors. But the beauty of UC Blue Ash, they got it. They've hired a coordinator to help care of all these DACA kids. So what did we do? We went over, we had lunch with Monica, we brought it to the DACA new guy, Hispanic guru of
What does
UC
DACA
Blue Ash.
stand for?
Undocumented students. So Monica came over here and she's not a citizen, but her parents are not citizens and all that. So she's here against her, she came over with her parents, so she shouldn't be penalized. But if she tells people that, they can take her parents. So,
Got it.
and that could happen. Happened in Fairfield last week. So those kids are afraid. So of course Katie is on it. So they hired this guy Anthony. But our job was not to solve the DACA world or President Trump and all that. Was to get Monica to Anthony. So she meets with him weekly. They're designing their own private plan, which we shouldn't be part of how to get Monica money to stay at UC Blue Ash. Or we will lose her, and she's an amazing young woman, as you all know. You guys gave her some scholarship money last year and all that, the foundation did. So that's just an example of how layered it can be, but the relationships we have with people, TRIO offices, help us service our kids. So this page is just a little overwhelming, but it goes back to what Superintendent Modio said to start it. These are called, according to the state, college retention services. This is 8th grade, 7th grade, my little 7th graders, all the way to seniors plus, so 2016. So 7,558 services up until yesterday, when I printed this, have been given to our children from 8th grade to our alumni, in 7th grade to our alumni, that goes under, quote, the retention focus. That can be even a discussion about PSAT, because PSAT gets you national merit gets you college for free, then you can stay in school. So, I mean, it's not a direct, some of the services are very direct, but according to our...
I see Naviance listed here.
Yeah.
I know as parents who have to deal with Naviance, and this is our profession. And I make some of you guys have dealt with Naviance with kids in college. It can be a little confusing. And It can be frustrating to have to make calls to them and things of that nature. So the help, that's huge.
Yes. And our 7th graders use Naviance in their career exploration. Our 8th graders, our kids do. Megan Gladfelter, kudos to our new counselor. Her and Jamie took our building to eDocs. Thomas, thank God it's not my year. Basically, in the old days, we sent our transcripts through Tom and through Nikki. Now it's all paperless. It all goes through eDocs. So we trained our kids, our teachers, and our parents with Naviance on that. So those are all those services, okay? So I just kind of want to give you the background of how we document we're doing what we did. Then we get to the real data, and that's the National Clearinghouse data. And this is RAND. Now I think it's very interesting. So in 2013, before I arrived on the scene, you had a heck of a senior class. I'm on page 2 here of 39. I took out some pages because we would have been here.
This is
till
the big
Christmas.
attachment I sent you guys about a month ago.
And you have the full attachment, but it was just so overwhelming that we really would have been here all night. I picked out what really pertains to us, our children, and to an overall feeling. So this was the class of 2013. Class of 2014, we arrived, 15 and 16. So these were all institutions. This class of 2013, they must have been very, very smart, but they enrolled in college immediately after high school. Okay, so then that was that class. 14 was 43%, 15 is 46, 16 is 53. We want to see ourselves going up. That is my job. But we want them to go in the right places. We don't want to do this for the wrong reasons. We don't want loan debt. You know, it's not driven by how many kids do we have in college. It's how many we keep them there and how are they happy and their children are, you know what I mean. It's not just about the area. But that's helpful. So we'll look at that. So then you go to the next page, 3 of 39. So then percentage of students enrolled in college the fall immediately after high school by institutional type. So you have all institutions for the class of 2013. We want to focus really on the class of 2014. 13 were just like overachievers and wonderful, which we all know. You can get a class that's really sharp, and they must have been very sharp. You guys are spinning back in your mind. Who was in that class? How many of valedictorians? Your daughter. See, she cranked up my scores on me. She set the bar very high for me, tell her, which is good, which is what we want. We want a challenge. So there was 14, there's 15, 16. You see the public institutions, like the class of 2016, the private institutions. And that's public and private throughout the state of Ohio and the other states. Then you go to page 4. This is percentage of students enrolled in college the fall immediately after by institutional level. What's the difference between this one? Just go ahead and percentage enrolled in college in the fall immediately after high school. Okay, same page. Okay.
No, I think
It breaks it out between your 2s and your 4 year.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, 2 year and 4 year. Yeah. And I'm going to be quiet too so you can read the data and look at it. And then the next one we have is enrolled in college in the fall. Oh, this is institutional location, in-state, out-of-state. We are encouraging our kids with all of these college visits. Like today I was working on the program for College Sign Day. I'm like, I can't believe Thomas Moore's not on the list. I love those guys. They're so nice to us. Oh my gosh. I was like getting all sad. I'm like, we got to work on that. And then I'm like, Allie's going there next year because we went on this visit. They have marine, she's a junior. They have marine biology. She loves it. She talked to the guy. She's doing a summer program. I'm like, they'll be back. So yes, we follow this because Kentucky can offer us a lot. And then, do you guys all remember Eastern Michigan? Maddie Schneider went there. Great young lady. I saw her the other day. She's offered to come back and speak to my middle school kids because I saw her in the middle school. She was doing something, but loves it. But they're, you know, she found that college. I'll give her credit. That was my first year here in January when I met her because it was reciprocal tuition. She goes to a fabulous university. She's having the time of her life, and she's no student loan debt between us, the foundation, the promise, and Gear Up. She was set. You know what I mean? So that's a good story. So we do want to look at Kentucky. We want to look at Michigan. Our kids aren't big about, you know, going to NYU or, unfortunately, they just don't like to go too far. But we've got them going to Bowling Green and Toledo and Kent and you know, 1 to 3 hours, I think, is their safe zone they feel really good about. Then here's the breakdown. Count of students enrolled in college the fall immediately after high school, the total in the class, the total enrolled, the total in public, the total in private, 4-year, 2-year, in-state, out-of-state. So it kind of really breaks it down nicely. And we can actually see their individual names. If we had to look up a kid, we have this enormous 150-page product of this, so that if someone asked us. And remember, to be in the clearinghouse, you have gone to college, you're sitting in that seat, and the drop ad time is over. Always remember that because the kids don't remember that. That's another lesson from last year. There's some of their money, especially Europe, which we'll get to in a minute. None of this data cranks until that butt's in the seat after the drop ad. Because a lot of kids go the first couple days and they drop out and there's no penalty. But once that day, maybe it's September 5th, September 7th, that's it. So we have taught our children that if there's any doubt, we got to decide now because you're going to pay either way. So that's been a learning curve too. But the clearinghouse data, they're sitting in that seat. after the drop ad. There's nothing fabricated or anything else, because they work very hard on this, and we all pay a lot of money to get this data. Percentage of school at any time during their first year after high school. So after they graduated, then they think about going back to college. In January, we had a couple kids go back to school in January. It's a chance because they have to be mature enough and they can't get sucked into the work life. But we do have some kids that go in January because they want to make more money and then go. But we try to, I'm not a big fan of that because then I feel like they're away from us and it's a whole semester. But then they get bored. They get bored working at Jimmy John's. That's what happened. She got very bored. I told her, I told you we're going to get bored. Come on, let's go. Let's go. But then I lost Roberto. He got sucked into the restaurant, the movie theater, and something else. I was like, 3 jobs, and I had to at Cincinnati State for free. Breaks my heart. But he's true first generation, and so you get bummed about those. But it's never too late for them to go back. And we do get calls. It's very interesting. They will call Tom, because Tom's been around a long time, and they'll say, I graduated in 2015, but those gear people help me. I don't know how to do this, or my fast, and they come back. I would say we probably get about 5 to 10 calls a year. And they go to Tom first. And then Tom calls us, and then it's fun because we have to meet them at night because they work. So we meet them at 5 or 6 at night, and they come in and they do everything we ask them to do because now they're really young adults. But those kids are special to us. So then you have, I'm on 17 of 39, the percentage of students enrolled in college for first year after high school who returned for a second year. Okay, so that's big. That's what we talk about, do they return after their first year? And that's like the work this summer to get them there and then to keep the class of 2016 in school. And really the only time they really don't go to school is because of the money. That's when they get panicked. And even, the foundation, Angie had a meeting with them today because these kids will leave us with this money tomorrow they're gonna get, but they get to renew this money, but they gotta remember to hold that letter. Right. They gotta remember. So part of me wants to make a copy of that letter tomorrow and put it in that file. You know what I mean? Because this blue piece of paper she held up, she's like, you have to hold on to this to do this. But now I saw it myself, so I will say that. And in August, next year, I'll be like, did you renew with the foundation? You get that blue sheet of paper out, and I'm sure the foundation people have copies of it, but tomorrow they're gonna give out $185,000. Totally the promise, the foundation, all these people. So we have gotta just make sure that these kids understand about the renewal. The other thing, which I thought was a major move on the people tomorrow with the money, was they've decided if I'm, I'll tell you, it's going to be Malia Miller. If I'm Malia Miller and I'm getting all these scholarships and grants and I'm going to Cincinnati State, I'm not going to need all this money because I've got it covered through Pell, through everything else, and she's going to win the Be Great grant thing, which is amazing. I'll tell you about that in a second. But she's probably going to get money tomorrow. So they're going to hold it for her for the second year, but she can still renew. Mm-hmm. So today we really explain that to them. And and I know, them sitting here as high school kids, they're not getting it, but you better believe Mrs. Hines will get that next August or July. But I'm like, okay, here's the deal. It really only cost you $7,000. By the time you walked out on April 12th, you had $10,000. That $3,000 is banked for the following year. We got it safe. We got to put it away. So that we're making great progress in that part of it, and that's complicated. But at least we're all working together for the kids. So here's the kids enrolled for their second year, freshman and sophomore, the class of 2000 total in the class. This is that. They go back to the second year. Here's the important page, page 31. So here's the class of 2013, that brilliant class of them. So in 13-14, the green and the purple. The green is new to college, the purple is the ones that didn't go. We don't have any data on them, and that's life. So then you get to the second one. So they're orange and they're yellow. See, the orange was 40%. 40% of those kids stayed in college. So Ken's daughter's friends, 14% dropped out. Okay, then the following year, 22% dropped out and 31% stayed. Okay, so that was this brilliant class. So my goal always is to watch that orange for the classes now that I'm responsible for and to track that orange. I didn't have control over these people, nor am I reaching, I don't have time to worry about this class. But at least they've set the bar high for us, but that's to me, this is the page. With all that's important, but to be watching these numbers so that we can keep them in school. So then you go here, and this is the class of 2013 again. We won't focus too much on the overachievers, but you can see they had 71, then they dropped to 52, then they dropped to 40. It's exactly what Mr. Modio said, that's when we see them. And what is your starter a senior now? What?
Yeah.
Yeah, so it'll be interesting out of that 40 now, what's left of her class that will truly get a 40 degree. Well, I'll be watching that. Put a note.
Now,
It'll be, yeah,
this is 13, 14, so they graduated in May of 14.
May of 14. Yeah. No, May of 13. They graduated May of 13. That's their college year,
this is
13.
College year.
Yeah, they were the class of 2013.
Okay.
So now we go to this class, 14. Okay, so we started, we got 54%, not doing anything. Remember, we didn't arrive till January. 44% got to college. The following year, 27 stayed. 17 we lost. 51 we have no data. And then a couple of them joined back up. Those are those kids that came to see us. So that's the data we have to watch in 2016, checking on those kids. But the longer we've known them, I think the more relationships we have with them. Like coming in January, like I knew these kids and they were really neat kids, they were. And they were our first, but we didn't know them like we know the kids from last year. And we really know the kids from this year. And now our juniors doing that whole ACT, like I know them all. So I'm gonna feel like by the time they're 2 years into college, I'm gonna know their parents. It sounds silly, but I think that will help us with the retention. Really knowing the backstories, because that's the key. So here's the 15, 16 kids. We'll watch that, they're new to college in the green. That was last year's class, 2 years ago, and then there's that. And then here's the big colleges everybody goes to, all the different colleges. So this is the data broken down like that so that we can follow it. We do study it. We go to Columbus to study it. They compare each of the other sites. I kept asking for national standards for your little meetings, big meeting tonight, and nobody could get them for me. I thought that was interesting. So I said, I would like to know how my kids are going up against the national ranks here. You know, because you're always comparing, Crooksville to Norwood to Parma, and I'm like, it's not the same. I want to see the national. I want to see kids like our kids compared apples to apples. So I will get back to you on that because I'm curious too. Because they sat with me to go through this because they were like, well, what do you want to talk about? I said, this. I don't want to show them 79 pages of other stuff. Like it was too much stuff. It was overload. But okay, let me keep moving. So here is the snapshot. Miss Johnson had asked us to do this for something else, and I thought it was really good stuff because it's a nice snapshot because it ties in the money piece. It's the class of 2015, the class of 2016, and you did see this at your board meeting with the class of 2017. And I think it's important that you see all those visits because that's what we're trying to inspire them. Capital University, for instance, they take 40 top kids essays. If you got a great essay, you get a full ride. That place is $150,000. So, we always work on that. 2 years ago, or last year, we had a kid that was there between there and NKU. When he went to NKU, on a full ride for the same thing. But that's why we go to schools like that. Anytime we can get money tied to our students. Okay, let's talk about the scholarship. So here's the scholarship page. And why I brought this up is part of the retention because this helps us. Because what happens is Andy, for instance, his financial aid office at Georgetown is clueless. So all of a sudden, he's re-upping for his Gear Up scholarship, and it's not happening. So I'm able to call him, and then he comes into the office, and we talk about him playing basketball, and he's going to do football, and now he's traveling, and blah, blah, blah. But it was because of this process on this page. Basically, again, the college has to notify the state, Carlos saying, that Johnny is sitting in the seat. Carlos has to send a check to this college. The college has to put it into the kid's financial thing. That takes a little time, and it's every semester. Now, the kid doesn't have to do it every semester, but they have to do it every year. So by them going on to re-up their Gear Up scholarship, which they'll get more money each year, a little bit more. And you look in the back chart, it's gone up. Like right now, it's gone up probably since our first year, about $250 per school.
Absolutely.
So that's nice. So that goes up. So a private non-for-profit, Tragon Ward at Thomas More is getting $1,500 a year, but he has to go up. Like in the summer, he'll put it back in, and then we'll know if he's there. And we won't have to wait till clearinghouse. And then Jamie can be like, you need to go in and do your Gear Up scholarship for this year. And then that won't be counted till September 10th, but that gives us that time to say, Jerome, why didn't you go back? What's happening? Are you back there? Great, that kind of thing. So I like the fact that they have to re-up online and do this because it keeps track of them. Okay, last big piece, I just want to show you, talking about retention. I don't know if you guys really know this. This is called the Bridge Program. This is retention to its max. So UC Blue Ash, as you know, just like every other college, struggles with their freshmen failing out. There's so much about the money part. It's the freshmen failing out, developmental, blah, blah. Or the kid gets there and they score low on their placement test with math and English and they have to take that developmental class. So now they take it, they pay all that money. It doesn't count as their credit. We talk about this a lot with our kids. And they get all bummed out and then they kind of say, why am I here? And then doesn't help. So I was on this committee last year. We formed this bridge program, and basically I'm going to pay for it. I have 10 kids. Here's what happened on March 16th. I put them on a bus. The 27 kids. I brought UC Blue Ash was closed. It was great. They gave us the whole university. We brought him in. This is part of the process. When you look at this, this is why I have this for them. They got accepted. They got confirmed. We had a little party. That's the easy part. This placement testing is the big part to get to the orientation. So we bring them there. We placement test. You had math. She had English and math. You had this. You had nothing, but you came along for the ride because Mrs. Science buying you lunch, and you were able to meet with your financial aid person, and you were able to meet with your college advisor. So we all come out, so he comes out all down in the dumps because he scored very poorly on the math and English, and the scores are in their hands, and I'm not supposed to see them, but I'm like, oh, Mitch, let me see those scores. Oh, honey, don't worry. I'm going to sign you up for the bridge program. Mitch gets on the laptop that I brought with us. We brought the whole team. Mitch, this is why you're going to do this. You're going to go to this summer. Mrs. Hines has got you on a bus. Your lunch is included. You're going to have to take off 9 days from work during the day, but you will retest. And you will get into college level math and English because these people are the English professors that wrote the test are the ones that are teaching you. You're also going to learn college success skills. You're also going to learn everything about UC Blue Ash. You're also going to get a $500 stipend if you have perfect attendance. And if you score well, you're going to get another $500 for your books. So basically, this is a $3,000 deal on the table, Mitch. I'm paying for your classes. You're not going to have to take developmental, and all you got to do is not work the day shift at the movie theater for 9 days. Well, I'm so proud of these kids. 11 kids scored in developmental, 10 out of 11 signed right on the timeline. A couple of them called their moms. They're going on vacation. Mom said, we'll move vacation. I said, I like that, Mom. Get her on the boat. But I wanted to let you know, that was big. For an 18-year-old kid to sit there down. But I needed plan B, or we would have lost probably 5 out of 10. Because they knew. They're not dumb. They knew, I'm not going to get to. It's like being in 8th grade and you're at the high school. So they got it. So this program is great. We were told we could have 8 spots because it's only 35 spots, and they have to go to CPS because it's a CYC everybody, and they have to go to us. But I called Katie, who was on vacation, and said, I have 10, just take them. I'm like, all right, so I said, sign up everybody. So it'll be about 1,000 or 2,000 each, but it doesn't matter. I'm gonna pay for it, and I'll get them there and all that, because those 10 kids that day made that decision. And we will keep them in college, basically, I think, because of this camp. So to me, whatever we can do on these bridge programs, again, KU has a nice 2-day gig. We got a young man, Deshaun, that's going to go there for 2 days to get him ready because he scored really, really low and stuff. But they're going to work with us. So we went to Cincinnati State with 8 kids and did the same thing. Now there's no camp for them. So we just have to watch that. And some of them scored poorly. They're going to have to take developmental class. But at least we got them to the placement test. They got to meet with the advisor. And KU, we go this Wednesday, or next Tuesday, and we have 12. And 10 out of 12 have to take a test. So we gave them all the prep materials today. We said, it's on you. If you score poorly, this test's about money, so they got it. So they're gonna get on a bus. So then, the key to all this, you guys, you would die, but once they take the placement test, they can sign up for orientation, then they can register for classes, and then their butt gets in the seat. No placement test, everything falls apart, everything. All the money falls apart, everything. So that's why we've really put a lot of focus on that as one of the retention, is giving them success and then having plan B. Any questions so far? So that's our signing day. Please come. Okay, I'm going to end on this wonderful note. I will not be there tomorrow, Ken. I do not tell Michael and all the promise people because I have to be in Columbus, Cleveland tonight because we are on a technical visit tomorrow in Cleveland. So I was like, Mitch, I'm going right back to drive to Cleveland. He's like, okay. Anyway, second thing, so do tell those guys. I didn't want to email all that and say, oh, I'm not showing up. And I didn't tell the kids either. Jamie's going to be there. Andrew's got Tom. All those guys are great. But the second thing is exciting. Mr. Modio, if you can be here, there. So, Cincinnati State's trying to get on the board because these guys are so good with admission. So they started this Be Great scholarship. And it's $1,000 right off your tuition, on top of all your other stuff, and $1,000 off of books. And you have to be a Norwood kid or a CPS kid. We kind of got in there because we should be. Well, this is huge for them. They're all excited, so they're having a press conference. So they wanted to have it at a school. So I said, we're going to have it at our school because Malia Miller is our senior who's been accepted to the culinary, who's been accepted to the honors college, and she should be representing the grant. Well, lo and behold, we're in. So they called today, the media called, they did the whole conference call. So I was hoping, Mr. Modio, you could be there because they want to, the media's going to.
I'll be there.
Dr. Posley's going first. She's the president of the college. Then Jane, the president of CYC, then you, if you can be there,
I'll be
and
there.
then Malia
Give me
Miller.
the time of day again.
She gets on the script from the media. They're like 2 minutes. Malia, as long as she wants. So we're gonna go get her a culinary hat from that place somewhere in Montgomery, and she's gonna do like her talk about going to Cincinnati State, going to the culinary, and this money because now between that Pell Grant, Gear Up, and if she gets money tomorrow, she's going for free. So it's exciting.
Maureen, give me the time and date
Okay,
again.
they are coming next Wednesday. The press conference is from 10 to 10:45 in the mini auditorium. And
be there.
Brad Ritterod was wonderful because it is a state testing day, Chris, but I promised the media would come in from the bottom door and not be disruptive.
I
told
thought
them
about it.
I did, and right at the bottom door, I told them today, I said, you can't be on the second floor, there's testing, and I told Brad, I promised him that. And they're coming in and out.
Yeah.
And it's just, it's not kids, it's superintendents, Whitten Woods, College Hill, Whitten Woods, North College Hill, Norwood, and CPS. And then the presidents of the college.
Nice.
Okay? But we'll get in, no testing interruptions. So that's great. So I wanted to end on that note. I thought that was exciting. And again, that's more money for our kids. Because we have 2 other kids going to Cincinnati State, but I picked her to be the spokesperson because she represents our city and our school district well. Any questions?
Questions from Maureen?
You like this bridge stuff?
And have athletic administration, can I get in?
They do have it. They have sports medicine. They have
You're too old. You
administration. They have-
didn't even graduate from Norwood, so you don't qualify for
Oh,
that.
really?
I am a Norwoodian. That counts.
You guys, thank you for everything. And do I still get to come to the board meeting next week?
Absolutely.
Thursday night?
This was just a
for
different
free,
topic.
And I won't talk. But our parents, remember, they wanted to come present, so I hope they can still come. From our Dave Ramsey, we did that parent engagement piece, Kathy Stable and I. And I have these 2 moms that emailed me. I said, I'll make sure they're having a meeting and that we can come.
Yeah, absolutely. You're on the
Thank
agenda.
you, guys.
Maureen, thank you very much.
Have fun tomorrow, everybody.
Have a safe drive up 71.
Careful.
Oh, yes, that'll be fine.
You really have Cavs tickets for tonight, don't you? You really going to
I wish. I wish.
See you guys.
Thank you.
Thanks, Maureen. That was really good information. Really shows us a lot of what we're doing. And
I was gonna say, she is so generous.
I wish I had Maureen's energy. I mean, that's an IV of coffee right there. So,
She beat bops all around that high school.
it's
Every floor.
it's like the Roadrunner from the cartoon. She's meep, bang all over the place. It's crazy.
I have
So.
to focus as she's talking, like I'm really listening. Because
It's quick.
Well, Mitch, what I need you to do is not talk as fast as that because my brain hurts right now. I'm still catching up. I'm at about 550 right now. My brain's still. Tonight almost I'm going to go, "Poof." Okay, I got to
Here
go.
is clogged up. It's not the allergies, which normally is.
Yeah. All right,
That's
so.
tough to follow, though.
Yeah, set the deers. Bases are loaded, buddy.
Okay.
So, if you remember, back in February, Mitch was going to come and give us an athletic update in executive session, but we had several athletic events going that night. I think we had a middle school basketball at the field house, middle school out, some were out, way out east that we're not going to, but a couple more weeks. And so I want to bring Mitch back in. And just obviously what we're talking about doesn't have to be an executive session. So, and if anything on follow-up from tonight is something we want to, if it's a personnel issue we want to talk behind closed doors, just let me and Mitch know because it's typically raining and we don't get to play baseball or softball. So Mitch, the floor is yours.
Another rain out today. But thanks for having me. And I apologize for not being here last month, but I had to go to Batavia.
I knew it was somewhere out east. Yeah.
So, not sure what you were kind of looking for, but this is what I'm going to present. So I'm going to start back in the fall with our athletic programs, and just give you an update, fall, winter, and then current. So hopefully that'll be okay. And if you have any questions, I'll be glad to answer them. Basically, going to start off with football. Heartbreaking season. Season end loss. Football 8-2, just missed the playoffs. Any other year, 8-2 gets you in. So it's just the way some of the teams that we beat earlier didn't have any quality wins. So tough. Kids represented well. Third highest scoring team in the state of Ohio with 53 points a game. They were fun to watch, and you know, I always tell people I got the best seat in the house now because I'm down on the field, and that's nice to see. But it is what it is, and we didn't get in. Cross country, we had a freshman make it to state. She's going to do wonderful things and has 3 more years. Need to grow the program a little bit. The numbers are low, but that's in the works. And I think with the success that our track team's going to have this spring, those kids will carry over in the cross country. And you know, Maddie Baker, who made it to state in her first meet last week, already broke 2 school records. So she's gonna do some great things for us. Boys soccer, they were 7-6-3. Again, tough schedule, but they played well. They did lose their first sectional game, but they went against Bishop Fenwick, which was a pretty powerful team. Girls soccer, they were 7-2. Very young team, but we got to host a tournament game and they won that game, and then they lost in the second round. But they had another good year, and again, our girls program with the quality of athletes that we have, and they're all young. They're all freshmen and sophomores, and throw in a junior and a few seniors. We're going to make some marks in girls sports across the board. Moving on to volleyball, Melissa Stacy, again, we were in a lot of games, ended up 6-13, but we could have probably been 6 more wins if we could have finished. But that's just, you know, the experience of freshmen and sophomore. But the talent there is bright, and the future is going to be good with volleyball also. Golf, we had 5 seniors. So we got to reboot that program. They did well. They were competitive, but we really didn't have that one stud that could get us over into the sectionals. So I think we about 500 in a conference. But we have to recruit for them because we got to start all over.
So we only had 5 total players, and they were all seniors?
Yeah. And you can only 5 can compete.
Oh, okay.
Not that you can't have more, so they can, you know, battle each other during the week to see who gets all 5 spots.
Got it.
You guys remember who our most successful golfer in recent history has been? Benji Moore. Do you remember Benji? He was very successful. Very successful. Oh.
So Brad Hunt's, you know, has got his work cut out for him to recruit, and we'll probably be young again. So I know we've got some kids that are coming up from the middle school that are interested in golf, so that we can get them in and they can play golf for us. We haven't had a girls team in quite some time, so I'd like to add that, but I don't see it happening for next year. Girls tennis again, young, experienced, and the SBC tennis is pretty strong. So we were consistently outmatched, and but they competed and they finished up pretty well. Everybody gets into sectional play, but again, I think drew the top seed, so that's a little frustrating. But you know, they battle. That's all we can ask. Cheerleading. My first 2 weeks on the job, I got to get rid of 2 people. One was a cheer coach, and another one was a trainer. So after those 2 weeks, everything was a lot better. And cheerleading had some issues, but Katie Earhart took that over, and she was going to be our middle school. So we moved her up, and she's a teacher at the high school, and she ended up doing a great job and got the girls to buy back in without too many issues or drama. So football cheerleading ended up pretty strong, and then that carried over into winter, where we added a freshman team. So we got all 3 programs back, and we'll have strong JV and varsity cheerleading for next year. I'm going to send them to camp, just like it has been in the past. So she's doing real well with that. That's all our fall sports. So I'll go into winter. Start with boys basketball. Really tough season. We lost our top 2 scorers, one to an injury and one to discipline reasons. So, they were 3-year starters. And you're losing 25 points at least. So, then we had a couple other issues with eligibility and another discipline issue. So we lost 4 potential starters, and still finished 5-15. Again, we were in a lot of games and couldn't finish. The ball wouldn't go in the basket, it bounced the other way, or we had chances to win games at the end, and we either had a turnover or just didn't make the shot. So rookie coach, and it was tough. It was tough for him, but we got through it, and they were in the gym today doing some preseason conditioning, so he's already getting them fired up for next year. Our girls program, 10-8, but at one time we were 8-2, and again, injuries weren't kind to us. We lost our best player, who is a freshman, and she still made all conference. So the girls continued to battle, but they just didn't have anyone to take over at crunch time, and that record could have been 14-4. And we got a good draw in the tournament at Walnut Hills, but our girls didn't show up. And I think they just lost some confidence when Miss Ryan went down. And I told them in a meeting that, this is your second season and you can win out. They had very easy draw, and we couldn't get through that first game. So, but I think they're going to reload, and again, experience and youth. When you start 3 freshmen, we're going to be a lot better next year, and that program is going to do some good things. Swimming, had a great season, just narrowly missed districts with the boys, and they had 20 wins on the season and a tie. Again, numbers get us on the girls' side, but swimming did very well. Wrestling, we sent 6 to districts, and they all did real well. We didn't have anybody come out with a district championship, but I got to visit, I got to go up to Wilmington and see that along with Rob and Deb. Fantastic program. And I'm not a wrestler by any means, but Wilmington puts on a great district. And then with Mike Yaddis being a state qualifier, got to go up to Columbus Schottenstein Center, and phenomenal for a high school event. It's one of the best ones I've been to. And I think next year Our kids are going to get bigger and stronger. They're already competing now. We could send 4 to 6, and possibly Mikey Addis and Dave Ray will get on the podium and first through 4, and maybe have a first ever state champ. But they put the work in the summer, and I think they will. Our middle school and high school coaching staff is probably better than most colleges with the experience and the coaches we got pushing these kids with their experience. Pretty amazing staff, and I can't take credit for it. I inherited it, but I'm glad. It's phenomenal. Again, cheerleading, Katie did a great job. Like I said, we added freshman basketball, cheer squad, JV, and then varsity. So she's doing real well with that. Moving on to spring sports. Due to the rain, we don't have that many games in, but right now, baseball, 3-3 record. We got 2 league wins already. Yesterday, junior Dakota Pugh threw a no-hitter. So that's awesome.
Where were we at yesterday?
Felicity.
Felicity. Okay.
He went 6 innings through 86 pitches, 8 strikeouts, and also had 2 hits. And you know, no matter what level it is, a no-hitter is a no-hitter.
Right.
Absolutely.
You know, rainouts are frustrating, and then you know we just couldn't get no press to dry out. I did get us a game over at Urban Youth Academy, so we played Western Brown over there one day.
Mitch, we've played there twice so far. Am I right?
Just once.
Once?
Yeah.
Okay.
Tried to get a couple other games there while we were on spring break, but Western Brown kind of ruined that for us because they spit sunflower seeds all over the field. So
And it's
I
field
had-
turf.
That was a Wednesday, and I had Thursday and Friday set to go too, but they kind of said, "Hey, let's let it simmer down a little bit." But you're still in good shape because it wasn't our team.
Right.
But they should have known better because they played there the week before, and there's signs everywhere. And next AD meeting, one of you guys might need to come get me because I might go after Tim Cook from Western Brown.
I'll go to the meeting with you, Mitch.
He acted like he didn't do anything wrong, that his kids didn't know.
Do you guys know what happens in field turf when sunflower seeds dry out? They're like razor blades. To the point where we have equipment that we use to go over our field turf at Shea, because you might as well have razor blades out there. They get so sharp. And then they're really hard to pick up with the brush and everything.
Yeah, there's no gum and no seeds. And you know, it's not like they didn't know that. And New Richmond has turf, so they do it there, and there's no spikes, so you got to wear plastic. So there was no reason for it, but you know, I finally get us in over there, and then that happens. You know.
Did
so.
you have to pay for that field use, or were they loaning it to you?
No, you go through CRC, and it's $100,
Okay.
which I didn't mind playing because
Right. When our field's
worth it
not
to play here.
workable,
That's worth
right?
it for our kids. I mean,
Right.
what a neat experience for our kids to get to
Absolutely.
play.
which isn't bad.
Yeah. no.
Isn't bad at all. So, but we've got 2 more games over there. This weekend here, we're playing in the Jackie Robinson Showcase against Schroeder at 3 o'clock. So, be a good experience for our guys. And we're on one of the turf fields. We're not on the stadium field, but they now have 3 fields. 2 are turf, and then one's the big stadium complex. And then the following week, on the 22nd, we play in the Reds Futures High School Showcase against Hughes. Last year, we were in the showcase, and we were the first game early April, and it was below 0 when we got done. So
That's why I was thinking we've already played there, because it was early in the year.
I picked the last game this year instead of the first game because That's the coldest I've ever been on a baseball field playing or coaching. And one of the reasons I retired. But that's two great events, back-to-back weekends. And we got 5 seniors. We got some pitching. We still don't hit like we could because kids just don't want to work on it anymore. But those are 2 winnable games, and they're high profile. So moving into softball. Right now we're 2-6. Their field looks fantastic. We did some work on it. We got it to where it should be. We could have played today if we would have been scheduled, if we needed to, but it was an off day. Again, they've got a lot of inexperienced players, but she's got them working hard, and they're going to get better. And that's all I ask from the start of the season to the end, to compete and play the game the right way. So both our programs are in the midst of that. Same way with tennis. We've got 3 matches in so far. Got rained out again today, and it would have been at home. We got a scrimmage, and then we're 1-1 on the season. So Rick Robish is Rick Robish and Brad Hunter, co-coaches with that. And though again, our league is tough in tennis, so we'll battle. Our record might not be real fantastic, but we'll play hard and we'll compete. Then moving on to track, we competed last week at Madeira in day 1. Day 2 got rained out, and they're not going to be able to make it up. But we were in 4th place at that time. Very winnable event, but Mother Nature didn't cooperate. Right now, they're up seeing J.D. Faust at Tippett Canoe competing in Tip City. So they'll do very well. And I missed one. They were in the Coaches Classic this past weekend at McNicholas, but they were missing half the team due to ACT. And boys still finished 8th out of 22 teams, and the girls finished 4th out of 22. And that's not competing in events that we probably would have won. So
I'm talking to JP, we gave up 30 points by
Yeah.
kids who were taking the ACT that we would have scored.
and then
That's fine.
4th to 1st was like 22 points. So that would have been real nice to take the Coaches Classic and start the season off on a great note. But be interesting to see what they do up north. Bring some medals back. But the talent with the track team, and we set 52 participants today. So track should do well if we can stay healthy and compete and get those points. Our invitational is this Friday, so if you guys need anything to do, we could use your Friday. We got 10 teams coming in, and great event. So we'll host it and take it from there. So nice little flyer here.
Mitch, how's our middle school track numbers?
Middle
Are they
school
high as
track?
usual?
We have 60.
Wow.
They're competing right now at Deer Park. We got rained out last week. We were going to go to Madeira and have a quad with Indian Hill and Madeira and I think Mariemont and us. And everyone would have got to compete. And that way they could have won a spot for this week. But John Stacy does a really good job with them. It gets them to come out and see what event they can do well in. So spring is, as long as the weather starts to cooperate, we'll get some meets in and some games. We finally got Millcrest playable. We could have played there today if we wouldn't have got the rain this morning. And it looks good, but I think the rest of this week we should be able to play some home games. We play Wednesday and Friday at home. Thursday we got to make up another rain out from Batavia, which will be the third time. We're in a suspended game there, and we're leading 4-1. In my previous thing, we never beat Western Brown. We beat Western Brown even first time. I'm gonna beat Batavia for the first time, and that'd give us 3 conference wins already. So then we can pick up Williamsburg and Lancaster on Wednesday and Friday. So we could be sitting nice by the end of this weekend, and then go to the showcase and take it out on Schroeder too. So got schedules for everything here. Just want to touch on varsity football schedule for next year. We open up against Madeira at Madeira, and we travel to Woodward the next week. Week 3, we host Taylor, and then week 4, we go to Goshen. Week 5 is homecoming against New Richmond, which I'm sure we have that circled on our calendar. And then we get into the MVC schedule. And we play week 6, which is 9/29. We play at Summit. And then the following week, week 7, we host North College Hill. And then the next week, we're at home again against Miami Valley Christian. And then we travel week 9 to Cincinnati Hills CHCA. And then week 10, which will be senior night, CCDS. So tough schedule. I think 7-3 gets us in the playoffs, but I would like to be 10-0.
That's a combination of a Southern Buckeye and MVC schedule, isn't it?
Yeah.
With the non-leagues.
It's kind of nice because Goshen's going to be competitive, and New Richmond, and we've got a good relationship with them. And we all do Richmond, so week 5 will be good for homecoming. But it's a good schedule. It'll be competitive. Summit's good. CHCA's good. CCDS, they're all 7-8 win teams from last year. So it's pretty stacked. But I think with the kids we have coming back, they say we'll be more explosive than we were last year. That's going to be pretty tough to do. So, and the kids are working hard in the weight room, getting bigger, faster, stronger, and buying into the program and a new coach. A lot of enthusiasm, coaching staff fired up. So, get some kids that new kids, and invited the middle school into the weight room so they can get stronger. So, I think football will do fine. Going back to fall sports, as you know, our kids either make first or second team, and they have a big banquet out in Hamersville. I got most of our parents and kids to go, and I paid for it, and I think we should, but I guess in the past, they would be charged $10 for the dinner. I didn't do that because I wanted them to show up. And most of them did, depending on where you finish in the conference is how many All-Stars you get. So we were well represented, and it's a nice event. It's just way out in Hamersville, and it takes a while to get there. And the 2 I've been to in the fall and the winter, they have the AD meeting the same day. So I'm driving out there in the morning, coming all the way back and driving back again.
We should plan that.
Yeah. But then,
Have you guys been out
they
to
like to do
Hamersville
that.
before? You go a little bit further, you're in like New Jersey. You just keep on going, and then you're there.
It's a short helicopter ride. Same way with winter. I told the parents and the participants that, hey, you need to be there. You get a nice award. They only honor first team at the banquet, but they do a nice job. I was impressed with it, and we were well represented. And if I tell them I want 20 dinner tickets, I have to pay for 20. So I want them used. So our coaches are expected to be there, and I gave them 3 free, mom and dad and athlete. So
Mitch, from now on, send that invoice over to me, okay? I can pay for that.
it was great to see them, and other than putting them on a bus and taking them out there, that's the only bad thing. And a lot of them were coming from another sport and having to race out there. But I wanted them to get their acknowledgement. You know, and you know, the parents should be there too. And I got some good pictures of them. So, and even on our website, our conference website, the pictures are on here too of the athletes getting on the stage. So, were you guys aware that we had a nice league website? Yeah, very good. I don't know if everybody knows about it, but they were thinking about going away from it and going to a different company. But the last AD meeting we're at, we threw out some ideas and said, hey, we just need to utilize it the best that we can with sending them about the no-hitter. And they're supposed to put it in.
I think I follow them on Twitter. They got a Twitter.
Yeah, so it's real nice. And our Pat Hill, who's our commissioner, who's leaving in July after like 12 years as commissioner, has done a better job of getting our news in about each school. We're responsible for sending it. Same way like tennis, when Robus gets done, he's got to text that score so it goes in there. And then it's linked right to Cincinnati.com high school. Right? So that way they get the recognition that they should. And, you know, if one of our kids is leading the city in hitting or whatever, it's there. We shouldn't have to go through hoops to find it. We're getting new banners. You know, we're joining the MVC. Working on new banners. If you're not aware, we'll be in the Scarlet Division. So Scarlet and Gray, sort of like the American and National from the SBC. And the current banner is blue, and I think it's the old Royal. So I can get this either way, and they have it shown in red. And then I like this logo better, and I worked on it with Randall. So I sent this logo in, and like I said, the background can be red or blue, but we have to finalize it within the next week. So
Either red or navy.
yeah.
We don't want 3 months more conversations.
So I like the red personally because a lot of the other schools in our league are blue.
Half of them.
Yeah. You know, we deal with a company that gets advertisement, and they send our schedules to us. So this is waiting to get the spring ones, but this is a sample that they sent me. All the stats are up to date on the website, so it's nice being on there 3-3 and seeing what kids' batting averages are, stuff like that. But softball, tennis, and baseball's all up to date, so it's kind of nice. Getting back to our showcase game, we get tickets to sell, and we keep the proceeds. And for $5, you can come out and see our Norwood Indians next Saturday at 1 against Hughes. And buying a $5 ticket gives you a voucher for a Reds game and a free cheese cookie, and we get to keep the money. So,
Mitch, I'll buy two.
and it's just right around the corner in our backyard almost, at Roselawn Baseball Complex. So we'll get these up, and
Where do we buy the tickets, Mitch?
I have them.
Yep. Okay. Do you have them already?
Yes.
So I can come over tomorrow and get two.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then
Baseball and cheese coney.
After,
What else is there?
After our game, every team gets to go down to GABP on the 23rd again for the game, and then we get to parade in on the field and announce, and then whoever is the player of the game gets awarded a bat during the game, and gets a little special benefits down there. Last year we beat Hughes And Mark Foster, who was our pitcher, he got the Silver Slugger Award, and he'll go for another one this year. Other than that,
Mitch, what has your involvement been as we're ramping up to start to move into the MVC?
I've been jockeying back and forth, still going to SBC AD meetings, and the next MVC AD meeting is Thursday. They invited me back in August or September, and they said, well, we'll let you know when we want you to come back. So I've gone to February, March, and then I'll go to the April one, and getting schedules for next year, learning more about the conference. I think it's going to be a great move. The ADs all work together. It's been good. The next one's Thursday at North College Hill, so I won't miss driving to Batavia and Goshen and all that. So I'd rather just go right out to North College Hill, and then I think the next one's at St. Bernard. And then eventually I'll get to host one. So most of the Southern Buckeye, they're pretty good guys, but once you're leaving, they some aren't as friendly, but other ones will do anything for you. So it's kind of bittersweet. I have no problems with the SBC, just logistics. So absolutely, it's a good competitive conference, but if we don't have to drive all the way out to Georgetown and Haynesville to play middle school sports during the week, we've been getting back pretty nice. Well, with spring sports because they start earlier. So even if you play a good 7-inning game, not a lot of hits, or it is a slugfest, you're still getting back at a decent time. And our league games are Monday, Wednesday, Friday, so that's good. But just to travel, I won't miss it.
Well, it's going to be, as we've discussed, so many times before, it's going to be great for our kids who play weeknight sports, basketball, soccer, volleyball, that they're not getting home at 10 o'clock at night or 11 o'clock at night. Back in the FEVC, we had that challenge with Talawanda, and that was it. And we've had that challenge with almost every doggone away game. And so I think the only challenge we'll have is New Miami. That'll be the only long drive. And so we won't even play them in every sport every year away. So and I think it'll help our gates, having people closer. And it's a competitive league. So and I've had some communication with all the public school superintendents in there. And they're really happy for us to be in there. They're a little scared that we're going to go open enrollment, and I cannot say enough. We will never be open enrollment as long as me and 5 board members are around. We are not going to be an open enrollment school district. They're afraid we get in. And I said, if we go open enrollment, kick us out. Just do that. Put it in writing. Kick us out if we go open enrollment. And it's going to be a competitive league. I think we'll compete in everything. There's going to be some schools that are really, really powerful in a couple of sports. A couple of sports we don't have. Summit Country Day is a national power in lacrosse, and so is CCD. But you have we're going to compete in everything, which is great. And we have been in the Southern Buckeyes. So
one thing I forgot to mention, for winter, we connected with a company called Final Forms. So all of our athletic forms are online now.
Thank you.
It's very, very simple. You only have to go in and update it yearly if there's any changes. And the only paper form that you have to give us now is the physical. So, and you can log on to your account and it'll tell you got 100 days until your physical expires. It has been a little troublesome to get some of the parents to sign it up, mostly in the middle school. But for next year, it's mandatory that you have to do final forms and your physical has to be up to date or you can't try out. And we're just going to have to stick to it. But it's a great program. And Jeanette Rains, she is a master of it, doing a great job. And another thing is, like, the coaches up, if one of our players got hurt today at Deer Park, he can get on his phone and access where to send that kid. So there's no more carrying paper forms, medical EMAs. So it's a great program. Most of the other high schools have gone to it, but Randall thought it was a great idea, and I did too. It just alleviates all paperwork. Very simple. So I just wanted to let you know we went to that.
Questions for Mitch, guys? No, he's throwing a lot of information at you. So we've thrown an hour and 15 minutes of information at you. So questions for Mitch?
I know you had sent an email about considering in middle school, I think it was soccer and baseball.
Mhm.
Have you guys talked about that or put feelers out?
Mitch and I have had some conversations. I'm not aware how much further, other than our conversations. I know you've talked with some of our high school coaches.
Yeah. At the middle school, actually when I got all the middle school kids together to promote the mulch, I kind of asked them, say, you know, how many of you girls would like to play middle school soccer? You know, the 7th graders. And same way with the boys, and got a lot of kids to raise their hands. And plus, I know from the rec leagues of what our numbers are. So I've been talking to the ADs from the NBC, and most of them have middle school soccer, and just in those meetings, I think what sold them on adding Norwood was we were going to add middle school soccer and other sports. So both my high school girls and boys soccer coaches are all for it. They've already given me names for coaches, and I think numbers will be good. Just trying to figure out where we're going to practice, where we're going to play. So I got to get with Jenny at the rec to see if we can use Millcrest and practice there and play our games there. And I think it's going to happen this year, and I'll find out more on Thursday. Because we got enough teams in our own league, and then I would try and play against Reading and the CHL teams. Stay away from the Southern Buckeye on the long drives. But even if we only get 12 games the first year, because I think you can only play 16 in middle school, it's going to help our high school program because we lose those kids for 2 years. And I was telling it was funny going down in July to Shea and watching football, and then soccer would be down there too. And I'm like, well, I just coached this one in 2 years of football, didn't know he played soccer, but at least he did something. But, you know,
Something.
instead of just sitting around but you can't play if we don't offer it. But at least he still played football. And there were 4 or 5 of them that crossed over, and I never would have known they were soccer players. And because they were nice little football players, but they got to play what they have the passion for. So in order to build our program and compete against Summit, and you know, we're joining a very strong soccer league, both genders. So we don't want to lose those kids. So I would like to bring soccer in, and again, there's no middle school baseball, and that hurts. So, but I think we'll do it slowly, just so we have a handle on it. So.
Other questions, guys? Okay.
Who needs tickets?
I don't have any money.
Well, we'll be selling them up until game time.
Awesome.
But if you go there that day, then the showcase gets the money. So buy them from us.
Okay.
And you get a free cheese stony and a free voucher for Reds. Even if you don't go to the game. I mean, like, at the end of last year, I bought like 4 of them because just for the Reds.
Buy them for the Conies.
Well,
And our game.
if I don't sell all 50, I got 50 free cones to give. So invite me back to the next order.
Absolutely.
Have a great time.
Absolutely. Guys, while I have everybody, is everybody good with the red banner?
Yes.
Okay. I mean, we can have 3 months of discussion, red or navy. Or we can just say, Mitch, do a red banner, do the scarlet banner. There we go. All right.
I think it looks good.
Yeah, and half the league just about is blue.
And just to let you know, on another note, our existing banners, I sold them. East Clinton's coming into the league. They got 2 gyms, and they did banners. I was like, so I'm sitting next to the guy from the league. I said, let's sell them to East Clinton, and he took it.
There you go.
I mean, what am I going to do with Western Brown and New Richmond? Other than I would have gave it to him like at the last meeting I go to.
Not Western Brown.
No.
No.
Well, he offered me a banner Norwood banner. Guess what it would cost? $350.
Western Brown did?
Yeah. So,
From the neighborhood.
you know,
What's
that he'll burn it. But yeah, we got it. That way with us. When I order these, we'll take those other ones down and do it, swap them out, and then I'll give them to East Clinton. And nice little donation to that place.
Great. All right, Mitch. Thanks a lot.
Thanks.
Thank you. Guys, you want to take a minute or two break, hit the restroom, get a drink or anything,
I
stretch
don't
your
know if
legs?
you guys knew the news. Judy finally asked me to marry.
I know, congratulations.
I'm very lucky.
Hey, Mitch, your wife called you and said you should have been home 10 minutes ago.
She's making money.
Ah,
She's showing houses.
there we go.
On my own dinner already.
Already. Amen. All right, well, we can go ahead and anybody need to take a quick break?
I'm gonna step up, you guys go ahead.
All right, we'll go ahead and get now back on track and going to go to NCCS. So, Debbie, go ahead.
Okay. I don't have a ton to report out. Basically, we're just plugging away with remediation, trying to get everybody ready, concentrating on especially the coursework that leads up to their end of course tests. Last week, I administered 18 ELA. They all showed up. Everybody's completed with ELA, which that's great. Most of our tests, I have anywhere from 9 to 19 for math, social studies, science. So next week is math. I have 1 day of math, and the next day is makeups. The following week, the week of the what would that be, 24th maybe, is social studies. So I'll be testing again on Thursday with makeups on Friday. And then finally the following week, which takes us clear into May 1st, is science. And yeah, so we started this, April 5th, and we'll end May 2nd. So, but the week that we're doing science, I have both science, I have science 8, physical science, biology. The social studies consists of U.S. history and government. And math consists of algebra, geometry, and then also math 8. So.
Christina, can you do something about the fact that every public school district in Ohio basically wipes out the month of April just to test? Can you do something about that?
It'll be a little better next year, but not much.
I know you have your ways, you have your powers. So, I think we're on line to graduate 5, 6. These are
5
all
to
the kids
6.
who are only
We got one that's day by day.
Yeah. We did have several expulsions from NCCS involved in the big fight, and so they were not seniors. And both of them were actually we're doing pretty well, but you can't behave like an animal, bottom line. So, any questions?
What's our graduation date this year?
May 20.
Did Dave had to email you guys and say make sure you're there by 10 or whatever? Christina's looking it up. I'm not even sure. They all just.
That's the wrong graduation. That's for Springboro.
Yeah, May 28th.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a little iffy about whether my son's going to make it to graduation, so it's on everybody's calendar.
While Chris looks that up, I'll go ahead and move to the next item, okay? Facilities master plan. Christmas is April 19th, Wednesday, April 19th at 2 p.m. Christmas being that's when we have our bid opening. Because to me, that's like Christmas because it's just opening up those bids and you read them off and you start calculating. Once you see who the winning bidder is, you start calculating, you see, did you come in at budget, under budget? And so to me, those are one of the most exciting days of the year. It's in here next Wednesday at 2 p.m. Anybody wants to attend, feel free. Tim, if you're still off on Wednesdays, come on in. We'll probably take about 45 minutes. We had a pre-bid meeting last week where everybody who was picked up bid packets, blueprints, everything came into here, and then they went around with the team from Steve Hammond and Paul and John Peter to all the buildings. We had standing room only in the room, so we had a pretty good turnout. As you guys are aware, the more competition you have, the better your price, and so we had a pretty good turnout. And so, and then I can tell you, the work will commence Monday, May 8th. Second shift, so basically 4 p.m. Now, to tell you what work actually commences that day, I can't tell you just this second. Will every building be simultaneous? But why we have it starting the second shift that early is to get this stuff, all the security work done prior to the start of the school year. So they'll be working 4 to midnights until the school year gets out, and they'll flip around, and they can have variant shifts. I anticipate, because how aggressive and compressed this schedule is, that you're going to be workers in many cases sun up to sundown. I can tell you, not only is the security work really aggressive, I can't remember offhand, I'd have to go in my office and look at the bid packet, but the amount of linear feet of tuck pointing at the middle school is crazy. And I was standing behind the middle school today talking to some people, and I looked up and I'm like, that's a lot of tuck pointing. And so that also is very aggressive work that has to be done. And we actually were going to start a couple days earlier than that, but Miss Chesson would have pulled my ear real hard, smacked me in my nose, because we try to limit any distractions during testing. And testing ends that Friday. So basically we pushed it off 2 days. So, but that's when things will kick off. Really how things will happen is winning bidders, what are called apparent winning bidders, will be awarded, as in you are apparently the winning lowest competitive bid at the bid opening. Then Steve Hammond and Paul and their team will go to work. They'll probably be up all night going through everything with a fine-tooth comb, and then confirm that by about noon that next day for me to put them on a board agenda. I'll give you the apparent winning bidders, what the estimated cost was, and what the winning bids came in at. And then I won't put them on the agenda till about noon on next Thursday. And then within about a week after that, we'll have what are called pre-con or pre-construction meetings, where it'll be in here almost the entire day, and once I get the date and time for that, I'll let you guys know. And that's where we're meeting, and that is where the actual on this day, and it is, as I'll explain it to the principals, because they'll be involved, it's as detailed as where do we put the dumpster and where do we put the portalette. That's how detailed the pre-construction meetings are. It's nothing like what we've seen before, just with the brickwork. And honestly, I typically say, no portalette. We're going to let you use the restroom inside. Because you know what happens to portalettes? They get knocked over. So then we got a mess on our property. So as details continue to come together, I'll give them to everybody. But maybe it's...
Sell the bonds.
What's that?
When are the bonds selling?
You might want to check your email. They all sold today.
Oh, did they?
Yeah.
Really?
I can read the last email. Because I don't know how many of them. I just forwarded a couple emails to you guys because they were only going to your work emails. As Scott Stubbins from Stiffle only had those, so that I just realized while I was sitting here, I forwarded a couple, and they were only going to your school emails. So I forwarded some. Here, I can give you some of it. I don't think anybody in this room but Jerry will understand what Scott's saying, but they all sold today. And so the leading paragraph is, I'm happy to report that we have concluded a successful sale of the district's bonds in the market today. Today is the lowest closing level for U.S. 10-year interest rates this year. Proved to be an excellent day to price this issue into the market. So we're able to secure over $44 million in orders for the $31.31 million in bonds that we offered. So the only challenge on the issue was getting some buyers interested in the 2051 bonds. Made an alteration to the coupons we offered on both series of 2051 bonds. We were able to get buyers to step up for all the bonds we needed to sell. So, and I don't know what actually all this means, but total true interest rate with all fees and costs included came in at 4.117%, which is outstanding for a 35-year issue. When you compare 4.117 rate to the 5% rate that was used to calculate the millage on the ballot, district taxpayers will be paying significantly less interest than they would have expected to pay over the entire issue. That's a good one right there. sorry to startle you, but if you want to put into English what the heck I just said about the district taxpayers and any impact on them. Jared, can you put that in plain English for us? What the heck I just said? No?
No, I mean, basically it said, the interest rate that we're paying on, that includes, because what you're gonna do is, there are fees and expenses associated with selling bonds, going to market. We pay Scott Stubbins, obviously,
Right.
and their marketing team. We also pay the paying agent, who is Huntington National Bank. We also pay the attorney fees to put the documents together. And so all of those included in cost of issuance, like closing costs for your house, then we're only paying on bonds that go out to 2051, 4% interest, 4.11 end. So that's huge. I mean, because right now I see other bonds being priced for school districts that are in the 5s.
Now, how will that impact the local taxpayers?
Because what happens is we ask for a higher rate of interest on when we went to the taxpayers, and because we were being very conservative and we didn't know what the market was going to do, now they're not going to pay, the taxes aren't going to increase what we thought they were going to increase.
That's great.
So, yeah.
That is,
So when can you let the taxpayers know?
so once all this is tightened up and confirmed, Ernie and I have discussed communication out to every resident in Norwood. That, well, you thought here's what you were going to pay, but because of, and put it in plain English, the due diligence of the district, now you're only going to pay this. That will probably be the best letter I've ever written in my life.
Yeah.
In my 29.3 or 29.75. Yeah. So basically, here's what we said it was going to cost you per month, and now it's going to cost you less. Think about that. So I'm going to tell you, when I send out that letter, it's going to have everybody in this room signature on it. And we're going to foot the bill to pay it to every mailbox in Norwood. We can do that through the ESC because they have actual mail-in house that will go to every address in Norwood. Think about that. That's just, no. That is just really, really neat. To me, it's like you had faith in us, and now look what we're able to kind of pay back a little bit. You know, I've had some conversations with Debbie about it, just how amazing that is. I mean, I haven't heard of many school districts who've done this other than the ones that there's a local district that had a bond issue. I think they needed to be built 8 elementaries. And by the time their OSFC funding came due and they started ready to break ground, they only needed, I think, 4 elementaries because their district shrunk so fast. So, wow, hey, that's great. You don't have to pay as much, but also, oh my God, where did all of our per pupil funding on our operating side go? Because we just lost a bunch of our kids. For us, we're growing a little bit, but why we're able to say now you don't have to pay as much is because of a lot of work over the years with Norwood, in the district. And I got to...
that goes back to your presentation that you and Ernie did in Chicago, because Moody's and S&P are the people that give us our credit rating. So the bondholders look at our credit rating and look at all the facts how we've been responsible and been able to pay our bills and keep the lights on and progress, and even with this shrinking enrollment. So that goes back to all that presentation of how great we have been to handle our financial situations. So that's how we get such a great rate.
Well, that was, the trip up to Chicago was the first time I've ever been involved in anything like that. And Scott prepared us great, and we Ernie and I divided up the presentation, and Scott had a piece of it too, and Ernie was the financial piece. Mine was, here's what we're about. We're a little concerned that they wouldn't have cared about our academics and after school programming, and Christina gave some stuff to me, and it was kind of a bunch of stuff. And Scott told me when we were on the train, because we flew, then took a train, then took a van, and then walked in the rain. And let me tell you what, Google Maps walking sent us in.
Yeah.
Well, McKay, we just could have walked across the street, and it was raining, and I was the one without an umbrella. Ernie's like, you can borrow mine with me, and his umbrella covered your fist. And so, but he said, hey, read body language. If they're not looking at you and they're not taking notes, pull the plug in the academic stuff because they may not care. And so we're kind of making small talk beforehand, and one, maybe both of the guys' wives were teachers. So I'm like, okay, they hear this at the dinner table. It's not going to be Mandarin Chinese what we're talking. First thing that blew me away is the whole floor that Moody's is on, there was no noise. And when you walk towards the door, they were like infrared sensors, and all of a sudden they opened up for us, and it was like being in church, everything. And everybody walking around was, okay, we'll be with you in a minute. I'm going, okay, I'm going to have a problem here because I talk loud. And so, but the present day we're locked in. And so we're leaving, and, we said to Scott, what do we think? What do you think? He goes, you guys checked all the boxes. You had them. They were focused. And this was about an hour and a half presentation. They were locked in, and Scott and Ernie put the whole presentation together. And then we had some Brenda Waymer and her folks listen on conference call. And so, we thought, okay, we swung, we got up and swung as hard as we could. We don't know where the ball's going to land. But the most interesting thing was the flight home, because Sarah's flown Ultimate Air Shuttle. Is anybody else? The flight up there was awesome. 45 minutes to Chicago. You sit down, get a glass of orange juice, you get some snacks, and then you're there. And it was kind of cool. Flew over Wrigley Field. It was kind of neat. Well, we got a little foggy on the way home, and then all of a sudden, sounded like a baseball was thrown against the side of the plane, and we lost an engine. And smoke's coming out of the engine.
No.
Yeah. And so then we're blah, 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 and the oxygen masks came out.
No way. Are
Yeah.
you serious?
Yeah. And so you've been in it, so I'm in the first row behind the cockpit. So you have the cockpit door.
Right.
And so it was kind of cool because you had a lot of space. So I'm enjoying this. And the guy next to me was drunk when he got in the plane and was drinking more. So I got a drunken fool next to me, and I'm drinking a Diet Coke because I'm exhausted. And so then all of a sudden you hear, rant, rant, pull up, pull up.
No
good
way.
So I'm getting a little nervous because I don't really enjoy flying to begin with. So at this point, the stewardess, who was like your buddy, was telling me all about how this plane flew UConn women's basketball team around. So it was like, it's kind of cool. She's strapped in and she's on the phone to the cockpit, and she's like, okay, well, I'm like, what's going on? It's like, we've lost an engine. Lunkin is closed. So we're rerouting you guys to Lexington. And so you hear,
That's further.
yeah, you hear pull, and if you've seen the Denzel Washington movie where it turns the plane upside down, that's how I know about the pull up thing. And so I start texting Debbie, telling her what's going on, thinking if we crash, she'll eventually get it. Here's how I knew we were really close to the ground. She texted back.
I was like, what? Are you lying? It's like, okay, this is really bad that you're answering.
Yeah, and then I can hear the pilot saying on the radio, we're not going to make it to Lexington. We need to go to CVG now. So I'm now, again, we're texting back and forth. I'm going, we're way too close to the ground. Because when you get to the airport, you don't have service up very, very, long. And so finally we land, and I swear to goodness, here's how we landed. Like that. It was straight down. And then they get on there, okay, we're in Cincinnati, and we're at CVG, and we know all your cars are at Lunkin. And so we're going to get a bus here, and it's going to be about an hour. So we're getting off the plane, and I'm like hugging the pilot and the co-pilot. And so we're in some little room that used to be Delta's. And there's the same drunk guy's like, can the bus drop me at a bar on 6th Street? And we're like, this is not going to end well for you, partner. You keep bothering us all. So finally, here comes Thomas Moore's team charter bus. They're the ones who got it. And so Ernie and I, we get in the car, and it's like, we just need to get home. Now, here's how the day started. I've been to Ernie's house one time before. He lives one subdivision over from my mom. So I had to pick him up at 6 o'clock in the morning. Well, I went to the wrong house. And I ring the doorbell, and a guy comes down the steps, and I'm in my suit, and I'm like, I'm not going to bail. So I'm like, hey, I'm sorry, I rang the wrong house. I'm supposed to be at that house over there. And at least he didn't think I was like some criminal because I'm in my suit and everything. So I get pulled in. Ernie's backing out. He sees me coming. He's like, hey, we're 5 minutes late. I'm like, well, I went to their house. So he's laughing. So we get to Lunkin, and he pulls into the first building where the first sign for Ultimate Air Shuttle is. Okay, let's go. We hop out. We're walking into the building. We can't get in because it's the wrong place. We turn around. Ernie's like, well, good thing this is the wrong place because I left all the doors on my side of my van open. So his headlights were on. His doors were open. And we're both going, this is not starting well. But then when we found Ultimate Air Shuttle, I'm like,
Glad you didn't tell us all this.
then when we finally get there, we're like, oh.
You thought he knew what he was doing.
Yeah, like we have pecan rolls. So we have pecan rolls, coffee, and these big overstuffed chairs. Like, all right. So that got us in our groove. And then as we're getting ready to take off, I text Abby and go, hey, I left my presentation in my front seat, which is back in Westchester. So I had it in a binder. So Scott had an extra, and once I read something, often I can remember it. So I'm Scott and Ernie like, hey, come over, sit over here. You know how there's 2 seats on one side, one on the other. I'm like, no, I need this 45 minutes. I'm writing everything and going, okay, I remember my notes, what I said. And we had practiced so many times, I kind of knew it. I just needed to see the slide. So there's the story of what was ultimately a successful day that had a rough start and a really rough ending. And it was like one of those guys where you're hugging the tarmac when you get off because oxygen masks. I'm like, is this Tommy Boy or something like that? So
Crazy.
yeah, but we landed safe and everything was just fine. So, all right, so let me move on. Allison.
30 on Tuesday the 23rd, right?
7 o'clock
7
on
o'clock.
Tuesday. I just didn't look to the left.
What date was it?
Tuesday the 23rd. 7.
That's graduation?
Is graduation. It was
At
it's a
7:30.
different- 7.
7.
Yeah.
23rd.
Tuesday.
All right, Allison, if you guys saw, we did sign the 120-day extension to give you a quick understanding of what a PUD is, Planned Unit Development. It gives a city total control of the aesthetics, the architecture, gives you control of that where it's just not you fit into residential or light industrial or commercial, whatever. They have control over everything, down to the paint colors. And why the developer had to work with the city on this is a 6-foot fence out of zoning in a residential area, and it's a decorative wrought iron fence. But also, this piece was new to me when I met with them 2 weeks ago, is they're adding a floor. And their structural engineers have said with significant bracing, they can add a floor. And so, question I asked him, if you did not have this problem, this zoning issue, could we have closed? And he said, yes. And we're to the point where we're giving Scott, the developer, his own key card because the amount of time it's taking our guys to go over there and open it up. And here's why: bringing prospective clients through continually. So John Peter came to me and said, can we get him his own key card? Because we're over there 2, 3, 4 times a day in the evening. So he's been in there enough that he's bringing people through so much. I will tell you, I said to him, if you hear any rumors about Allison and its history, it's a wives' tale. It's false. And he says back to me, we're getting a lot of people who are contracting with us because of that. And I said, it's haunted as heck. It's the most haunted building in Norwood. He says it's attracted a lot of people. So that's the issue. And he said it takes the city, it's a 90-day turnaround for the whole PUD process with the city of Norwood. So then that gives them a 30 days then and cushion in there if there's any issues. I feel better about this than I have at any point because of the city's involvement in pushing with the PUD. Because Jerry Stoker feels good about it. That's important to me, that our development director, if you know Jerry, this is what he does with a number of different communities. And so when Jerry feels good about it, makes me feel better if the city's going through the process of creating the PUD there, as well as they're going to do it in a couple other areas up and down Montgomery Road to try to control what can and can't go in there. Because some restrictions will expire here in the next couple of years. So PUD gives you total control of everything, setbacks, everything. So I'll keep you guys up to speed and everything. Okay, next 3. Televising committee meetings. We've talked about this for 3 board meetings. This is number 3, televising committee meetings. So I need to get some direction. So I know what to tell Tyler, yeah. So it can be as simple as this. We can have more discussion about it, or we can do a show of hands. I just need direction of the will of the board so I know what to tell Tyler. So I will tell you personally, professionally, I've thought that it's a good idea for a while because it gives a perspective of what we are doing in the work we put in. But that's just mine. You guys, I need just direction from you guys so I know where we go on this.
Yeah, I'm for
Been
it.
for it for a long time.
I can carry the way.
Okay, so that's a 5-0 vote there, right there. Yeah, so,
Yeah, I just don't think there's gonna be a lot of people that see it, but.
I know, I agree.
Yeah,
I
that's-
hate for them
that's
to have to like
transparency.
waste their time, but at the same, yeah, I don't know if, I don't wanna discredit what they do, because I know it's more complicated, but like, if we just have a camera and, like, I want them to be taped. I
Right.
don't know how many people will be watching them, but I don't want to waste their time either, because I know
the
they.
commencement of this, starting of this, I thought I have a start with basically like maybe our August. We could start next month, but keep in mind of this, June and July, even our committee meetings are only a couple minutes long because there's not a lot of action, not a lot of discussion. Now, we can start it next month if you guys want. I just need to know what to tell Tyler. Or we can kick it off. August is when we really get back into business. So we good with August?
Yeah.
Okay, I'll communicate that with Tyler. Okay, next is social media. We've had some conversations about getting more active in not the interaction in Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, those things, but pushing out more information. Events, even about Dakota. I didn't even know Dakota threw a no-hitter last night, so I need to give Mr. Krell a call on the way home and say these are things that the superintendent needs to know, because then I can tell you guys. So, and I think there's a couple pieces of this. One, if we're going to do this, I'm going to need some help, because this is something that needs to be done well. Now, when I'm saying I need some help, I'm not going to say ever that we need to hire somebody like full-time, pay them $30,000, $40,000, $20,000. I would view it as a stipend, okay, like a supplemental contract of a couple $1,000s. That's number one. And I'm just saying a couple $1,000s. I'm just throwing it out there. Number two, whatever gets out has to be correct, because when it's out, it's out, and it's out forever. So it's got to be correct, and it has to be factual. Because once you put it out there, as you guys have heard me say before I interview somebody, I Facebook them. Because I want to see, and we had somebody who we canceled an interview on just last summer because of pictures we saw on their Facebook and things that they were posting. Yeah, a preschool aide. And so you better be good at what you put out. But if it's interactive, or you put out, you post something and people could ask you questions, you're never going to win with that, because if you don't answer right now, you look like a goof. So I just need some direction on this, guys, of where we want to go as a board. So I can go either way, guys. Doesn't matter to me.
I just know I feel like we don't do a good enough job of sharing out information, because there's so many positive things that happen within our district. And so there are ways that you could do it on Facebook that don't allow for comments. Like, people can share it, but they can't comment or like or any of that stuff.
Isn't that how Norwood PD's Facebook is? Is it something like that?
No, you can comment on theirs and on all that, but there's rules or like things that you can click that will not allow it to be not allow it to accept comments, or not allow it to be liked or whatever, but people can share it, obviously. So I'm for it, but I feel like we kind of need to figure out what is the purpose. Is it for everything?
See, we don't see why we can't use our website.
Yeah, that's what I was.
I mean, I think we just need to concentrate. I mean, our website, everybody, Norwood High School, Norwood Middle School, Norwood, I think we need to do a better job at putting things on our website.
How many people go there? I don't know if we can see how many clicks or hits we have on the site.
We
But
can.
I know,
Yeah, we can.
Today's kids, I know my boys, that a lot of them get their news and information from Facebook and Twitter and what else is out there.
Which is a problem.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
Which is part of the problem.
Not all of it is real, but it's hard, because when you think about your phone, you have a Facebook app, so you can easily click on there and find all of that information, versus you would have to go to your browser and then type it in, and it's just a lot of websites don't easily translate onto phones.
Can't we create an app?
I have no idea.
Yeah.
That just went over my head.
There you go.
I want to create an app.
If we do that, like you said, use our website.
So we can create an app.
Comment on
What we
it,
want.
right?
Yeah, you can comment on it.
An app is a static.
Yeah, we're not utilizing it at all.
But you could put
Just
schedules on there, calendars,
I mean, we already put, our kids that we give honors to every month out there. And, the great things that are, I think we just need to determine what to add to it. Because we've already got it, it's built. And then I know, your son can probably get us an app.
Probably, yeah.
And so people, we can send out information that says, hey, if you want to, and we can probably even at some point, if we can't take the recordings of the meetings and put that on there.
We can.
So I just think that's better utilizing what we already have.
If you get a second, our website has been updated. There's a new format and a much cleaner look. Now we still have a chink in the armor. Go click an event. That's where I went to today, and it showed we had nothing going on this week.
Right.
So,
Yeah.
but the format of it is so much cleaner and brighter, and
Like
so
this. That nice.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was good.
yeah.
Yeah.
We can go down that road. What I'm going to need to do, if we want to go down beefing up our website, I think it's a great idea. And if we want to create an app for that, where people can just press their app on their phone and it'll link us right to the website. What I need to try to get is, with my administrators, is we need to come up with kind of and then also we need to have a standard what we're doing. And I'll tell you how it goes right now. In each building, how the information is loaded up and at the district level is different. Because in one, like at district wide, it's Terry. Okay? Then it may be the media aide in one building. It may be the secretariat in one building. Because it's kind of parceled out right now amongst different people. So some standardization of who's doing it and having the time set aside to do it. Because keep in mind something I've always felt back from when the first district I was in had a website and every teacher had a web page. And it made us look stupid because 3 of us would do a bunch of neat stuff, 1 wouldn't do anything, and 1 would do blah. And so communication can make you look as bad as it can make you look as good.
Well, and I wouldn't be opposed to, and I don't know what everybody, but, if one of our IT people, if we want to pay them a stipend to do this, and to have that information from each
Funnel to them.
in the procedure, this is the information you need to provide every week or, every day, whatever we decide, whatever they decide.
What's that?
Like a status report
Yeah.
from each
Yeah,
school.
to go into, that person's email, and then our IT guy does it.
Right. Because here's what we have now. Let's say View's got a bunch of neat stuff because they just had an honors assembly. And that's going to do it. And then she has 6 sick kids that day, an upset parent, and we have 8 teachers out that day. She may get to it 2 days later. And then at the middle school, we're going to have Lisa Lawson do it, and she's a media center aide. But okay, we got all this neat stuff. We had this assembly, and we had all, middle school track wins today. But then we have a day where there's a class in the media center every single day for the next 2 days.
Right.
There's going to be a lag in that.
Plus they all have their own style.
Right. Own font, own style, own everything, where it can make us, it makes us look just
Right.
unorganized and sloppy.
Absolutely. And I think this might lead into like the next topic that we have, but if we had said just what is our goal, if we want to be able to share all this great information easily with parents all in one place, like that's overall what we want to do, and then how do we do it so we could have food service as a tab, athletics, each school, like there's all these different layers, and I think all of those, one person following it through it might be a challenge, but if we can be consistent, we can have regular information that's,
Well, most of the parents are going to go on. You're going to go on because you're interested in what's going on at Williams Avenue if my kids go to Williams.
Right.
I don't care what's going on in high school. I need to know what's
Right.
going on here. And so if we had a tab or something that they can just, they don't have to go through all the garbly goop to get
Right.
to what, I just want to know what parent-teacher conferences are for Williams Avenue.
Right.
So,
I want to know what night the Christmas concert is.
Right.
Yeah. Or when conference. Yeah. All those things. When's the mulch sale? Those types of things. Yeah.
But I mean, we already have it, so I think if we can build on it. And
Beef
then
it
I
up
think
and
we
use
need
it.
to have one
Beef it up.
person.
Yeah.
Yeah, we have to have the information funneled to one person,
Right.
whoever that would be.
Right.
Have the information
So then that way
funneled.
our style is all the same, and we don't have
Mhm.
sloppiness going. And everybody, if your child goes from Williams to View, and you need to look at View, then it should be the same as trying to look at Williams.
Right.
And you shouldn't have to be going up. It was
Right.
over here when I wanted
Right.
it.
Absolutely. Okay. Well, that does kind of segue into our last topic on here, which are we all in agreement into let's beef up the website, have an app for the website, and let's use what we already have and make it better, more effective, more efficient. Okay.
I would be curious, I mean, do we know of any local schools that have apps? I can't imagine that like Mason and Lakota, with as huge as they are, that they don't. I'll look them up later, but
Yeah.
I'm just curious, we can learn a lot from them. I'm wondering if they do push everybody to their app and they maintain it, because those can be a little expensive or time consuming for a person. I wonder if their website is just not as robust. Because it's doing dual work.
I can send an email out to the
Oh, yeah,
Four
I
County
can-
Superintendent Group.
I can go to the app store.
Now, I know some schools, because they have a full-time PR person,
Right.
they've got Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, they got all kind of stuff. Because they have somebody who's a full-time person. Even as small as Three Rivers is, who's smaller than us, they have one.
Right.
We don't need to spend that money.
No.
We don't
I'm
need to
just
spend that money.
hopeful, because I think, and I only have children that know way more than I do about this, but I believe the code for a website is not directly translatable to an app. I think it's a different language. So if we have somebody that has to keep up the website and somebody that has to keep up the app, it's two jobs versus one.
I have no
And
idea.
I know. So these are great questions that I think we just have to work through.
Okay.
Springboro has an app. I just
Do they?
looked it up.
Okay. Be interesting to see that quickly.
Do you want
So-
me to send it?
Oh, I can
Okay.
tell them. Thank you.
I'm going to circle back around with this and have this back on in May. And let me do a little bit of work on this, okay? So that kind of brings us to our last discussion item, and then board meeting's almost over at that point, is Sarah and I met for lunch last week, and we talked about a bunch of items. And one item that we think, I personally and professionally think it's a really good idea. Let's think about where we are right now as a leadership group. All of us came together about 8.5 years ago, and we had a lot of mountains to climb. We had to right size the district. We had to fix the finances. We had to fix the academics. We've had to fix athletics. We've had to fix performing groups. We've had to pass levies. We've had to build master plans. We've had to talk about what we're going to do with an empty building. And if you take a pause and think about where we're at, we're in a very small minority of districts in the state of Ohio that are financially sound, academically strong, athletically strong, extremely strong in performing arts. We have passed operating. Now we just passed a bond. We're going, and here's what we're going into, guys. I'm not saying let's sit here and pat ourselves in the back and go hoo-ha, we're great, because the minute you do that is when you trip. We're going into new territory. Because think about the master plan. That was 3 years of work, guys. About 5, going back with Ernie and I's first discussions. That was 3 years of work, every board meeting. Weekends, all kind of stuff. Before that, we were operating levies. Before that, we were operating levies. Before that, we were cutting. You know, we've been climbing up a bunch of hills, up and down a bunch of mountains. And we're into uncharted waters of, okay, what are we doing now? And so I think it would be very, very effective for us to spend time together on, one, looking back for a few minutes and looking at what we've done, but remembering the work that we did to get there. Not going, hey man, look at the percentage we passed levies. Okay, yeah, that's good. That was great that day. But what are the things that we have been able to accomplish? And that's built the foundation to the house. Where do we want to go? How are we going to operate as a leadership group? From how do we communicate with each other and with the public? That was just a huge topic we just had right there. How are we going to operate with our involvement with all the renovations? What are we going to do? What's our role with all that? Just think about what we just had with Maureen. How are we going to be involved in that? What are we going to do? How are we going to champion that? And we're having a new role because we have had for 8.5 years, I don't want to say crisis, but we've had a hurdle in front of us. Now our hurdles are different. They're not a financial hurdle. It's not a low performing academic hurdle. It's not a athletic department disarray hurdle. It's not a performing arts. I mean, our performing arts are phenomenal. We don't have that hurdle. And this is where organizational leadership can lose their way. When you don't have that hurdle, sometimes organizational leadership groups can lose their way. And we're too doggone good for that to happen. So I think it would be very effective for us to get to have a board retreat. Now, a board retreat is really a board meeting, but you can do it. We can do it here. We can do it, somewhere here in town. Get a space or whatever, and put together topics for this between now and the May committee meeting, and do it basically on the heels of coming out of school in June. And because here's what I'm going to tell you, as we move into these uncharted waters of how do we work together and how do we move forward, we got to remember this. We got 1,000, as of today, 1,981 kids and about 339 employees, and a $29.3 million budget, and almost 20,000 residents who really rely on us for so much. Rely on us more than they rely on city government. It's the bottom line. People can deal with roads that are bumpy, but a school district that's bumpy, we fail a lot of people. I think it's important that we do this and how we are going to work together and move forward as a leadership team. So with that, I'm going to attempt to shut up, get some feedback from everybody here.
I'm for it, and I have to be in Coonwood before 8 o'clock, so I apologize. So,
Once you come in, there's no getting out.
I got it. I'm for the
Okay.
wherever you want to do it,
Okay.
because I think it's very important to do that.
I think it probably is for the good.
Yeah. Everybody thumbs up? Okay. Get out your calendars. Let's look at the first weekend in June. I want to be, I need to remember that you guys come from a long work day. And if we went a Saturday from like 9 to whatever, based on an agenda that we build, I think we'll be fresher as opposed to everybody coming from their work day and rolling in at, 6 o'clock. And I view this much more focused for us as opposed, you remember in the past, I had the principals come and present. We got to focus on where we are moving forward. This is what we've got to do. So, right.
I don't know what time it is.
So, let me get my calendar here. What would you guys think about Saturday, June 10th?
Out of town.
What's that?
Out of town.
Wednesday evening.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm just saying.
Saturday, June 3rd.
Works for me.
June 3rd works for me.
Okay.
Yeah.
We'll do like a 9 o'clock. I'll bring some food in. We'll have lunch brought in too and stuff like that. Okay, my next question is, you guys want to do it here? Would you like me to see if we can get a room at Rookwood down in Marriott, or down there, the Marriott down in Rookwood, a meeting room there? Doesn't matter to me. I could see if we could get it at a Great American Ballpark. So, to a meeting room there, I can get that dirt cheap. It's kind of neat. So, I got to look at some of the ORC around that. But do you guys just want to have it here? Do you want to have a change of environment? Doesn't matter to me.
I don't want it to cost us any money.
Yeah.
but-
Well, I don't think, if you want me to check it,
The Marriott.
the Marriott, I'm sure if it's available, Jeff will give us a meeting room for free. So if you guys like, it's an open meeting. We just have to announce where it is. If you guys like me to check on that, kind of gives us a little bit different environment, a different setting.
Yeah.
Okay. I took all the administrators and we did above the line book study and discussion, and we went down to Great American. And it kind of got us out of the school thinking into a business thinking.
Right.
And it was, I think, a good experience, other than we couldn't figure out how to get in the door down the parking garage. So I had to call my friend and go, can you let us in? So, all right, so I'll have Heather do a board announcement for that, and I'll communicate with Ernie. And we don't have to do it yet because we need to build an agenda. So what I would ask you guys is, if you're thinking about items you would like us to discuss, as well as myself, do a all to all of us. So we're all discussing with each other. And I could even kick it off just with an email to everybody going, hey guys, send me items. So then you can just hit a reply all to that. So, okay. I think this will be great for us. So, okay. I'm going to work down the agenda real quick. Okay, approval of 2 trips, orchestra, and that's the first one, approval of a student trip. And then if you see the next one, approval of MOU from NTA agreement among supplemental contract recipients of track coaches. What that is, you know how we have percentages, like this person's going to get 0.25, this person's going to get point whatever. The auditors have asked us, just get an MOU from the union saying that they're okay. And so it's fine. We spend no more money, but it's a way where if you have 4 coaches going, hey, we want to have 6 and we're all going to take less, I'll take that. And that's kudos to our folks. So we just do a memorandum of understanding, and the board has to approve it. And we have 6 resignations, and I sent out an email to you guys about where everybody's going. What you're going to start seeing is employment, because I've got some interviews lined up for final interviews to replacing some of these folks. So it's an exciting time where we're getting a good jump on it. And then you've got 1 student aid, then you got a resolution hiring up our spring coaches, and then comes Scott's favorite time of year because he gets to annually fire his sister. So we have non-renewal of 21 classified substitutes, non-renewal of physical therapists, non-renewal of 62 educational aides and student assistants, non-renewal of 21st Century Grant after-school program coordinators. These are all procedural. Non-renewal of the Avenues for Success class. Their staff, there's 50 of them. We have a food service attendant. It's a change in status, so it's picking up more hours and changing positions. If you see extended days for Alicia Rossalot, 20 days, that's evaluation of incoming preschool students who are suspected of having a disability. And then also itinerant services, and these are summer where we're having still by law to provide educational or academic services to preschool students in the summer because of their identification. Then approval of facility usage, we've got Little Indians, and then elevations after school enrichment program. We'll see how that turns out. And then we have 2 items on the finance committee. That concludes my items. If anybody has any questions, I'll be glad to answer. Okay.
I just found out I won't be at the May committee meeting.
What country will you be in?
No, I will be in Savannah, Georgia.
Since June 3rd, right?
That's such a crazy. Never been, but Rick and I celebrate our 20th wedding anniversary on the 24th, so he's taking me away for a long weekend. So
Make your reservations now for Paula Dean if you're going.
I didn't know what restaurant was hers. Is it the?
She's got a Paula Dean restaurant down there, but it's a month in advance is what I heard.
Oh, okay, I'll do that tonight. Thank you.
Go out. What's the island we went out to?
Type.
Yeah, out to Tybee Island.
Yes.
Yep. You know, it's supposed to be the most haunted city.
17.
I heard.
Oh, what was the tour guide? Savannah Dan. Go on the walking tour of Savannah Dan.
Okay.
When is our main committee?
The
2
ninth.
stadiums. I
Ninth.
think, yeah.
Yeah. So we'll be there.
I won't be here for the board meeting in May.
In May.
I'll be in Florida.
Vacation?
You're in Florida. She's in
I'm at the
Savannah.
beach with my girls. I'm celebrating my oldest daughter's graduating with her master's and my youngest daughter's 21st birthday.
Oh,
that's fun.
awesome.
That's great.
The grandbaby going to?
No,
No,
Adult
just
only.
adult. Okay, got
Only
it.
big girls.
adult girls only. My husband's most fabulous.
That's awesome.
All right, so we are adjourning at, what time is it?
7:38.
7:38. All right.